Hello friends and welcome to the Crypto Stacker channel. My name is Dean. If you're watching my videos for the first time, please know I only make them for entertainment, education, and for community building. Hey, it's a crazy world out there in terrarium land for the last couple of days. If you're keeping up with the drama that's going on Twitter, if you're not, the price action alone is enough to make people a little bit nervous. So I'll give you a few thoughts on what I think about, again, the Twitter sphere, the drama that's kind of unfolded there, and where we're at with the project. But before I do that, I want to take just a minute to let you all know how much I appreciate the fact that you've joined me for this journey with YouTube. I joined YouTube, posted my first video exactly 1 year ago today, September the 2nd, 2021. In that time, thanks to you all and your support, your subscriptions, I have added 13,000 subscribers to the channel and have had just under 1 million views, 985,000. Now, there's a lot of people who've done a lot better than that, and I'm sure there's people who've done worse. But for me, it seems like a strong accomplishment, especially the way my mind works and a little bit my ADHD, my ability to stay with the hobby for the long term, and coupling that with my real world job and all of the crazy that I've got going on there. I'm happy with the way that this has gone, and I just want to let you know how much I appreciate your support and your kindness. With that being said, let's jump over in, see what's going on with the Terrarium project in the spreadsheet, and then I will give you my thoughts on what what I'm feeling with the crazy that's going on in the Twitter space right now. I'm not going to overplay that one, or I'm not really going to give it too much of my mental capital, because it's really not the most important thing on my list when it comes to the Terrarium project. And I'll talk about what that is as we move forward. So today is September the 2nd, currently 10,361 holders in Terrarium. That's a loss of about 20 per day over the last 3 days, a trend that I don't like and I'd like to see turn around. The rank of Terrarium, 587th of all cryptocurrencies, with a market cap of 26.6 million. Price 801014. The volume in the last 24 hours, 102,000. The burn has ticked up to 73.77%, with 7.2 trillion tokens burning in the last 3 days. So what is that? 2.3 trillion per day, maybe a little bit more. So a good burn rate, which I've kind of described before. When you have a low price and you have reasonable volume, what you end up with is an accelerated burn and an accelerated reflections rate if you're in projects that do burns and reflections, okay? So let's jump in. First of all, take a peek at the chart over here and just show you here in the 90-day view where we're at, okay? This line right here and the low for Terrarium that we saw really since the first of the project, it's hard to get a good look at it when you look at the full chart here. This is 180 days. The project is now 7 months old. But if you look at the 90-day, it's a little easier to see that baseline. And Terrarium bumped off of 801031. There may have been a day where it actually ticked just below 801 to 909 and very close to 801. But that's back where we're at again. And so the question is this the floor for Terrarium? Now, there are people who've been examining and making accusations of the floor holder, which is Dr. Pravin, who is known to have 108 wallets. Okay, there's people who make a full-time hobby, maybe not full-time, but they make a pretty regular hobby of monitoring those wallets, because Dr. Pravin said he's not planning on selling. Then you have other people accusing him of selling and going into other areas, essentially, of the wallets, saying, hey, Terrarium's dumping their marketing wallet, and they got responses to some of that. But, and I'll kind of respond to some of those too, but in my opinion, it's just my opinion, to me, we're about at the floor level of this. Now, can the floor go lower? It can always go lower until there's nowhere lower left to go. But with the things going on in the Terrarium ecosystem, with the projects that they're bringing forward, I still see this as a reasonable long-term play from the level that it's at right now. For people who bought at the very, very peak, this isn't a happy price to be at. Fully acknowledge that. Personally, I'm underwater on my investment. I show you guys pretty much every time I make a video what my current bag is. I show what my cost basis is, which is right here. You know, I'm in this guy about $17,000, and my bag currently is worth $10,255. Okay, so the price is tough to take. It is cryptocurrency, but I'll tell you why I'm still holding out hope and what I would consider bullishness for Terrarium as a crypto project. I will get into that. Before I do that, let me just look at a couple of these things and tell you what I'm seeing and tell you what my thoughts are. So first of all, we'll start with Milton. There are people going after Milton, and they seem to be harping on a couple of things, okay? One of them that makes me laugh the most is that everybody's always correcting Milton's grammar. We've got a bunch of proofreaders out there, and I know this seems petty, but English is not Milton's first language, you guys. If Milton wanted to, he could make his tweets look like this, okay? And it's even quite possible that he's using something like this that's translating his tweets, and what you're getting is the wrong to, and to, the wrong were, we're, and where, okay? But come on, that's extraordinarily petty when you're talking about somebody's English as a second language. If you don't speak a foreign language, a second language, and understand how difficult it is to reach a level of mastery, I speak 2 languages and I love languages, so I study other ones. I'm nowhere near proficient in those other ones, but English and Spanish, I'm pretty good. But in Spanish, I'm not as good as I am in English because of my second language. So please, guys, please give that a rest. The other thing I see people doing is jumping back to the beginning and talking about the Binance issue. You know, what can we say? The Binance issue definitely was a low point for the Terrarium team in terms of, you know, miscommunicating something. They put something out there. It was impossible to validate their concerns. It appears that it was not the authentic Binance. I think most of us know that. And we've kind of said we're running a 2-strike policy. That was strike 1. I haven't seen strike 2 yet. Not in my opinion. Okay. People talking about the marketing wallet dumping. And then Milton made a very sarcastic tweet like, oh, you know, as a business, we actually may have had to sell to pay these greedy people who are creating the project, quite frankly. And it was certainly made in jest. But when I look at the marketing wallet, here's what I think, okay? When we look at Terrarium and the tax on Terrarium, when it was rolled out, aside from the very, very beginning, the original tax structure for Terrarium was 9%. 3% for the burn, 3% for the reflections, and 3% for the marketing wallet. Well, what is the marketing wallet tax right now? It's 0. Okay? So if these guys were these greedy monsters who were just trying to milk everybody out of their money and put it in the marketing wallet and then frivolously spend it out, they kind of screwed themselves by removing the tax for the marketing wallet 100%. There's a lot of us in the community that would actually like to see maybe that 1% that's going to the burn or 1% that's going to reflections going into marketing, so we could spend more money trying to find new avenues of putting the word out there and getting the hype going a little bit for Terrarium. Okay, so I find most of those things to be pretty baseless or unfounded, with the exception of the Binance thing. And literally, we're 7 months in. That was 4 weeks in. So you're going back 6 months to dig something up to try to say, oh, this feels scammy. I fully admit, and I've been very transparent about it before, that wasn't a good look. I didn't like it, and I considered it 1 strike. And I'm the guy now who's kind of on the 2-strike policy because we've just watched people get screwed for a whole year. These YouTube people that are making videos talking about this team made lots of supportive videos of other projects that were supposed to release games, that were supposed to release swaps, that were supposed to release all these amazing things that have never materialized. Okay? Some of them materialized 7 months, 8 months after they were supposed to, or they launched some, honestly, half-assed projects that never worked. So what I'm saying is, you guys, seriously, the price is down. The market has been tough. Generally, Terrarium has been hit harder, okay? But let's try to be realistic about this. And as far as Milton coming back out and going head-to-head with some of the people out there in the influencer sphere, you can only call somebody's baby ugly so many times before they're going to be defensive. So whether that's productive or not, I'll leave that for Milton to decide. Okay, the other piece that came up that I've seen people harping on is there were people dropping death threats on Dr. Pravin, and somebody questioning whether or not he's selling out and dumping the price. Okay, so he makes a claim here, August 31st, that he dares anybody to show him where he has sold or partially sold his pre-sale wallets, which had 50 trillion tokens each. And there have been a few YouTubers that have made some videos which are just absolutely stupid, right? They showed that, hey, here is a wallet that had 50 trillion and it sold. Yes, that is a fact. But was it Dr. Pravin's wallet? Do you understand how the coin even launched? Do you know that 50 trillion was the magic number? It was the maximum amount you could buy in any wallet. So any investor that invested at the maximum amount and bought 50 trillion tokens in the pre-sale that has sold, okay. Does that necessarily mean he has sold? Well, I went in, looked in the Etherscan right here. You guys can do this for yourself. And you look at the token counts. And you can see right here one that starts with 50 trillion. Okay. And then I went through, that's wallet 28 to wallet 136, which I think we're going to have to go a couple of pages here. One more. Here's 136. And how many tokens are in it? 50 trillion. We'll do the math. 136 minus 28. 108 wallets. Okay? So Pravin's claim to have never sold is actually pretty strong. There's 108 wallets there. And what I can tell you is this. I've been discussing things with Milton, with Dr. Romana, with Dr. Pravin, pretty much from the first day, okay, before the token ever launched. And I'm not trying to be the world's biggest advocate to say that these guys are going to save the planet. But what I can say is everything they've told me that they were going to do, they've done. As far as projects goes, they've launched TerraPool. I want to see how that's doing and what it's actually producing for them. But they need it worse than anybody because they're running a business with a bunch of employees and a bricks and mortar building that they don't have a marketing wallet right now to fund. So they've got to come up with a way to generate some revenue. TerraPool is the first way to do that. NFT exchange, they've announced one coming soon. And then November, the first plus or minus 2 weeks of first week of November, they're supposed to launch their centralized exchange. If they fail on those things that they're talking about, for me, it ends up being the strike too. And I'm fine. I'm comfortable walking away. It's an investment. I'm not part of their team. I'm not their marketing guru. I'm a YouTube guy that they reached out to. And as far as other projects have gone, I find these guys to be as professional, as competent, and as honest as any other projects I've come across in the last year. Honestly. I mean, show me which one it is that's really crushed it. And go back through all of the YouTubers with the sensationalized headlines and look back through their video feeds and see how many projects they've shilled that don't exist anymore. Or people that came out of the YouTube space that launched projects, and those projects have struggled to succeed because it is an absolutely brutal market. It's a difficult place to do business. It's a brand new asset class. The world doesn't really understand it. People, I think, that have high aspirations and high goals, high dreams, thought that they could jump in and change the world in cryptocurrency, and they find out really quick it's more complicated than that. There are thousands of crypto projects. How do you get your project out into the spotlight so that you can garner investment, because what makes the price go up is money coming into a project, and what makes the price go down is money flowing out of a project. So to grow a project over time, you have to find ways to bring in continuously more and more dollars, drive that price. Utility is the name of the game. Most people who talk about utility don't really have anything that brings utility to the actual token itself. They have a utility for themselves, for their business. They have a swap that generates fees. Those fees don't go back to the token holders usually. So Terrarium has got an uphill battle to fight, and they're going to have to show us here over the next several months how they're going to bring value to the Terrarium token. Okay, but I'm a patient person. I've been along for this long. Me selling my bag, $10,000 would be great. I know that's a lot of money for a lot of people, but for a guy with a mortgage and 4 kids, it's not going to really change my math all that much. I'm not saying that I wouldn't be happy to have a windfall of $10,000, but to sell right now at the lowest point isn't really part of my plan. Okay. If that 5Xs, 6Xs, I might take my original investment out so I can protect myself and not have losses. There are people who make very valid points. Rodney has always been really good, my crypto journey at telling people take profits. I've heard Austin talk about taking profits. It's an investment game. But when you take profits, you're basically taking them from the next guy who put his money in, right? I mean, that's what's happening so far. This stuff is pretty much hype driven, right? So I'm going to be patient, see what this brings. I want to circle back to the very beginning again and try to end this on a positive note and just say to all of you again, thank you very much for coming along for this ride with me. I appreciate your support, appreciate your kindness. I hope you're doing well. Let me show you a real quick look. I kind of got there briefly, but my current bag, 10,113,464,000,000. Did I say million twice? 113 billion, 464 million. It's an increase in the last 3 days of 409 million tokens. Total reflection since February 21st, 38 billion, 31 million. At current prices, worth about $40 US. So, friends, I hope you're having an amazing day. For those of you who get a 3-day weekend, I hope you get lots of rest. Enjoy yourselves. Sorry for the long video, you guys, but sometimes you got to take the time that you need to say what you need to say. Friends, I hope you're doing well. Check back with me soon. We'll watch our crypto stacks grow together.